And we realize that he can be much better than he was at home, and we're looking for a mighty tough ball game, naturally. But like I mentioned yesterday to you, I think a big factor today will be the fact that Denny McLain only worked 6 innings the other day, whereas Bob Gibson worked 9. And, of course, with only 3 days rest, that might be a big factor today.
Tim, you were talking about ballparks, the St. Louis Park and this park right here, Tiger Stadium. Do you think your ball club would be a better ball club in this park or the one you're at right now, Busch Stadium?
I think in our ballpark we're a better ball club because I think when we move into a stadium like this, like what happened yesterday, McAuliffe and Kaline hit 2 balls that probably would have been out of our ballpark. But I think it hurts our pitching to come into a ballpark like this. We used to play in Old Busch Stadium where it was only 310 down the line, and our club wasn't modeled after our stadium. And clubs like the Giants and the Braves used to come in with their big guys, their Austin Power, and they used to kill us because they'd hit balls out of the park, and here we were, we couldn't hit the ball out of the park. So I think playing in our park, we have a decided advantage over any club that might come in there.
Tim, I know you want to get loosened up for the ball game. I see a lot of the other players doing just that for both teams, Tigers and the Cardinals. I would like to ask you one more question before you leave. Gibson today, McLain today, probably the largest TV audience of all time. And I know you don't have a prediction. I know who you want to win. Let's talk about what Lou Brock might want to do just briefly. Does he have a book on McLain? Do you think he'll be able to steal off him like he has off the other pitchers thus far?
Well, naturally, Denny takes a lot of time getting rid of the ball, and I think with the way he kicks his leg, it's kind of like Juan Marichal of the Giants. The way Denny kicks his leg up high, I think Lou will be able to get a better jump off of him than he would off an ordinary pitcher. But I really hope it doesn't rain anymore because that'll make the ground slower, and when the ground's slow, naturally, I think it'd be an advantage for the Tigers.
Tim McCarver, thank you so much. Good luck today and the rest of the series.
Thanks very much, Tony.
Now let's go on back upstairs.
The Commissioner of Baseball, General Eckert, the head of the Public Relations of Baseball, Joe Reichler, met with the umpires down at home plate. We're just about ready to get underway. The umpires have examined the diamond. Denny McLain started a warm-up down in the Tiger bullpen. Bob Gibson has not started a warm-up yet. And they have now, there's McLain, number 17. They're going to start the game at 1:35, 19 minutes from now. They have set a definite time, 19 minutes from now. Game 4 will be underway. Well, I don't want to get in an argument with Tim McCarver, Joe. And everybody's talking about Gibson coming back with only 3 days rest. 5 times this year he pitched with 3 days rest, and 4 of those 5 times he pitched shutouts.
I got a feeling. I got a feeling a guy like Gibson, Kurt, doesn't worry too much about rest. I believe he gets up at Christmas Eve and throws a slider on the outside corner. Those kind of guys, especially in the World Series. Can there be such a thing as being overworked in the World Series?
No, and McLain, 24-year-old right-hander, 31-game winner. Wasn't his day in the opening game. He only allowed 3 hits. All the Cardinals said he had great stuff. They had warned him about going after his fastball. He's got that riding fastball. If you swing at it around the letters, it's over your shoulder, up around your eyes when it comes in around the plate. But he was behind in the hitters, Joe, behind all the way. And if he's back with his usual control that he has, we should see some pitching duel today.
No question about it. I got to believe that today, I believe I said it earlier, that I think that the right head will be on McLain's shoulders. That first game with all the hoopla about the Las Vegas and what have you, that has to take an effect on you. I know I was worried about getting rid of tickets. I can imagine what he went through. And now that it's all over, and he's got a thing called pride going for him because Mickey Lolich did what McLain was supposed to do, and all he's heard about is Lolich, and when you've got a thing called pride going for you, you're going to give it that little extra, and I'm sure today is the day.
I didn't know you had any extra tickets. You didn't come to me. I mean, worried about getting rid of
all
tickets.
All those Italian relatives left over from the wedding got him.
The Tigers are out in front of their dugout now, starting to warm up. So are the Cardinals. There will be no player introductions. The Cards are going to start their same batting order that they use against the right-hander. That means Maris will be in right field. It'll be Brock, Flood, Maris, Cepeda, McCarver, Shannon, Javier, Maxwell, and Gibson. We'll give you the batting order a little bit later, slowly. So if you're keeping score with us, you can jot it down. And the Tigers have a little change today. They're trying to get every bat in there they can against Gibson. And they're going to start the veteran Eddie Matthews at third base. Get a left-handed bat in against him. They'll leave Stanley in there as shortstop, and the rest of their lineup will be the same. Quite a story on Eddie Matthews, Joe. It looked like he was all done. He had his spinal disc operation earlier this summer, and at his age, it's tough to come back from his spinal operation. But all the Tigers tell me that he's been swinging the bat very well, and this is a short right field here for him, and he could be a real threat today for him.
No doubt about him being the real threat, because the one big thing that he has done, he has stayed in shape. A lot of times the fellow won't play, and he'll sit on the bench and pout and second-guess the manager and say, how could that dummy not play me? But he is in shape and ready to go. I might just add, Kurt, looking at that ground crew working, that the track is fast for Lou Brock. There'll be no effect on him unless his inner soles got wet.
All right, let's go right back to the dugouts again.
Thank you up there, Kurt. We've got manager Red Schoendienst of the Cardinals. Red, Joe Garagiola was just mentioning upstairs something about this track. It's fast right now, but it's drizzling just a shade. It could hurt your offense a little bit should it continue to rain, shouldn't it?
Well, if it gets too wet, it'll slow us up in our running to a certain extent. But, of course, we do have a little speed on the ball club, but we hope it don't rain too much. I'm more worried if it happens to go 3 or 4 innings, or maybe just 2 innings, and it gets rained out completely, I lose my best pitcher, because he's not able to come back the following day.
Of course, manager Mayo Smith loses his best pitcher also. It works both ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, that's right. But McLean has been used to pitching, I think, all year with 3 days rest, and Bob's just about had practically every start he's had this year. He's had 4 days rest, except for 3 different times, and of course today he's starting with 3 days rest. And with the 3 days rest he had during the season, he shut him out each time he came in, so he could pitch, and I'm sure he can do it again.
Red, you've had these scouting reports filter in through your scouting staff, through managers probably in the major leagues as to what to do against the Tigers. How do they impress you as a ball club? I know you think they're a good ball club and you respect them. You have to in the World Series. They wouldn't be here. But generally speaking, what about them offensively in the pitching department, defensively? What kind of impressions have you formed?
Well, the scouting report that they gave us did say that they have a good power-hitting ball club. They have a good defensive club. They don't run like a lot of ball clubs run. They don't have quite the speed on the base paths, but and their pitching is good. They talked about Lolich, talked about McLean, and a number of others. Of course, we respect them in every way because they did win by quite a number of games in the American League, and we see them in spring training, Tony, quite a bit. 3, 4, 5 ball games, and you could tell then that they had a real fine ball club last year and this year. And I still say that it has a chance to go at least 6 to 7 ball games before this is over with.
Fred, let's talk about infield play a little bit. A fellow out there for the Tigers, Mickey Stanley. You played a whale of a second base for a good many years, and I've had the experience at shortstop. I can't help feeling that Mickey Stanley has more pressure on him during this World Series than anybody else. How do you feel about that?
Well, he played just a few ball games before the series started, and I'm sure it is to a certain extent, but Mickey's a fine ball player, we all know, and he's doing a fine job at short, and I'm sure Mayo Smith wouldn't have put him there if he didn't think he could do it. And I'm sure Stanley accepted and more or less told him he'd sure go out there, in which that shows he's a real pro.
Red, today in the lineup for the Tigers is going to be a change. I think you've heard of it already. Eddie Matthews is going to be playing at third base. You saw Eddie in that National League for a good many years, one of the top performers, top home run hitters in the National League, in all of baseball. Is Gibby going to be able to get Eddie out? That's a silly question. He can get anybody out, can't he?
Well, I hope he can. Eddie's always been a fine ball player, played with him and against him, and he's a threat every time he walks the home plate. Of course, I don't guess he's quite the fielder he used to be, but who is after getting a little older, too. But I feel Eddie can help this ball club, and I was more or less wishing that he wouldn't be put on the list, you know, after he was out. Yeah. But it's perfectly fair. He was with them all year, and he had a bad back, operated on, and he came back. And I don't know if he's going to quit this year, but I wish he wouldn't be on the list because he's a threat with the bat.
Certainly is. What about Lou Brock, Red? Is he stealing on his own? Are you giving him signs, or does Lou just about take care of himself on those base paths?
Well, Lou steals on his own. Of course, there's a few times where we give him a sign where we don't want him to steal, and of course, we got it pretty well figured out now between the two of us, and he's free. I don't like to take any aggressiveness away from a guy that is real aggressive like Lou, and once you do, if you're going to try and tell him exactly when to steal, you just don't get the jump maybe, and he goes whenever he gets a good jump.
Red, I see the umbrellas are going up again. It's beginning to rain a little bit harder. Some of the players are out here running around a little bit, and the Cardinals are getting loosened up, but it's starting to rain just a little. I would like to talk to you about one more thing, however, before you go, and that is something that must be a note of encouragement for you when you saw Orlando Cepeda yesterday hit that home run.
Well, it sure is, and of course, McCarver's hitting a little better right now, too. The two of them are. They've been hitting better the last 2 weeks of the season, which is a big lift for us. Anytime you have your fourth and fifth man not hitting well, you know, it's pretty tough. So we hope that Orlando keeps going, hitting as well as he has been.
Red Cheney, thank you so much. Congratulations thus far, and good luck the rest of the year.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Now let's go on back upstairs.
Now it started to sprinkle again. And some of the fans who had moved out in the open popped the umbrellas up and looked for an overhanging spot. Both clubs continue to warm up. The umpires are still down around third. You were down in the dugout. Did you talk to any more of the players besides Mickey Lowley?
Yes, I got to talk to Freehand. We were going to get Bill on, but then they got to removing the tarp and getting ready for the ball game, so we didn't get him on. Talked to Freehand and talked to Denny McLean. And Denny says, while I'm ready to go and I feel like that I've had a little more rest than Bob Gibson, I don't quite like pitching on a day like this. He says, I've had this little bit of shoulder trouble and rainy weather and cool weather, it stiffens up. And he said, obviously, I'd much prefer a bright, sunshiny afternoon, but in a World Series and at a time like this, you can't pick your spots. And he says, I'll go along with it. And he says, it'll be just as fair for me as it is for Gibson.
Take a slow motion look at the two pitchers today. This is Bob Gibson, and this is shot down at the Cardinal bullpen as he's warming up. One factor about Gibson the Tigers talk about is how he throws so hard the entire game. He's just as fast in the 8th or 9th inning as he is in the opening innings. And Al Kaline commented that he never saw a pitcher that hits the corners the way Gibson does with stuff. You know, a lot of fellows will throw great stuff, but it's down the middle or it's not where they want it. But he said, I never saw so many pitches on the corners Gibson threw me. And Denny McLean has been warming up in the Tiger bullpen, 31-game winner. Watch his motion. Very compact fella, power pitcher. And, of course, today he hopes to have his control. He hopes that he's ahead of the hitters today and not behind them. He only gave up 3 hits in the 5 innings, but it was control that got him in trouble against the Cardinals in the opening game. Gibson shooting for his 7th World Series victory in a row. And if he would win his 7th World Series game, he would be tied with Reynolds and Ruffing of the Yankees, who each won 7. Whitey Ford leads with 10. He has the 2nd highest strikeout total. Of course, McLean, appearing in his first series, will not be shooting for any records or all-time series records unless he strikes out more than 17. But McLean is young, and if the Tigers keep going, he may be in a lot more series with a chance to go for some records. There's an interesting sight now. If you look out in center field, some of the Cardinal pitchers are running. You say, why would they be worrying about keeping their legs in shape at the end of the season? But they're taking their wind sprints out there. This series still has some games to go, and they don't want to endanger any muscle pulls with quick starts. So they're out there. That's part of the Cardinal pitching staff taking their wind sprints. If you see that all during the season. One of the big things for pitchers, keeping those legs in shape. George, the announcement came that we start here at 1:35. It's 7 minutes away. And evidently they're going to stay to that schedule. I see Vice President Humphrey now has come in and has taken his place alongside of the Commissioner of Baseball, General Eckert. So he's all set. 56,000 are also in their seats here. It'll be a standing room crowd only again today, despite the weather. 53,634 is the announced, but no standees allowed now. Fire Fire Commissioner and Police Commissioner.
Oh, well, we announced yesterday, I did, Kurt, that standing room only, but the Tigers decided not to sell standing room, and Jim Campbell informed me after the game. He said, I'd like you to correct that. We do not sell standing room. The part seats, 53,634, and that's all the tickets we sold. There were a lot of standees, but obviously were people who were in the wrong seats.
Jackie Robinson, former great second baseman of the Dodgers, Vice President Humphrey, Commissioner Eckert in the commissioner's box, and Mayor Jerome Kavanaugh and Judge Vincent J. Brennan of the city of Detroit. A color guard is wheeling into position. The band is back under cover, and I imagine we're going to have our national anthem very shortly. In the meantime, Jimmy Campbell, the general manager of the Tigers, has been out talking with the umpires, and they're out around third base. Will be Kinnaman behind the plate of the American League. Harvey's going to work first base today of the National League. Bill Heller of the American League is second. Tom Gorman of the National League is third. Honeychick of the American League on the left field line, and Landis will be umpiring the right field foul line of the National League. 1:35. 5 minutes from now, Game 4. The World Series will be underway. Denny McLain and Bob Gibson now have revved up their warm-up pacing. They're both firing hard now. Gibson started behind McLain, of course. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem, sung by Marvin Gaye. Oh, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight that gleaming, whose broad light and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. Then the rockets red flare, the bombs bursting in air, gave through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does thy star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land, o'er the free, and the whole of the free. The fourth game of the 1968 World Series being brought to you from Tiger Stadium as the Cardinals meet the Tigers.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, feel confident. Stay dry with new Right Guard Antiperspirant, a completely new product from Right Guard. Right Guard Antiperspirant is a new defense against perspiration. It contains a tested agent that checks perspiration wetness. Feel confident. Stay dry. Get new Right Guard Antiperspirant in the silver can.
This season, television is the best in sports attractions on CBC. Football in both CFL and NFL. NHL hockey, tennis, golf, the World Series, and the Olympics. For the broad look at the complete sports scene, follow CBC sports coverage, a part of what television is all about.
have the first ball thrown out now. The Tigers take the field. Hank Greenberg, a former slugging first baseman here, and also played the outfield. Hank Greenberg has the honor of throwing out the first ball. He gets a big hand. There it is. The Bill Freehan. Now they'll do it again. John Fetzer, the owner of the Tigers, the president of their ball club, right behind him. Hammer and Hank Greenberg, a Hall of Famer. Charlie Gehringer threw out the first ball yesterday. So McLean's on the mound, ready for his warm-up pitches. The Tigers are on the field. Game 4 is about to get underway. It's going to be delayed by 35 minutes. And here to call the play-by-play for you in the first half of the game, the Tiger telecaster, George Kell.
Thank you, Kurt, and good afternoon again, everyone. Well, it's a cloudy, overcast afternoon, and we're still getting a little bit of rain here at Tiger Stadium, and we're going to get it throughout the afternoon. Just hope that it won't be enough to stop this ball game. We're going to start on time at 1:35, as Kurt announced to you, but we're still getting a few fine drizzles, and the weatherman has said that it will rain off and on here in Detroit until sometime late tonight. In fact, we have the weatherman right here with us. Brock will lead off for the Cardinals. He'll be followed by Flood, then Maris, then Cepeda, McCarver, Shannon, Javier, Maxwell, and the pitcher, of course, will be Bob Gibson. There is one change in the Tiger lineup. Eddie Matthews is at third base today in place of Don Wirtz, and he'll be batting in the number 7 position. Bill Freehan has dropped to the number 8 spot. So it'll be McAuliffe, Stanley, Kaline, Cash, Horton, Northrop, Matthews, Freehan, and the pitcher, of course, will be 31-game winner Dennis McLean. Another full house here at Tiger Stadium. 53,634 have scammed their way into this ballpark to see game number 4 in this great pitching classic between Denny McLean and Bob Gibson. They were the pitchers, as you remember, in game number 1, and in that one, Bob Gibson was absolutely tremendous. He set a new World Series record with 17 strikeouts, and he shut the Tigers out. So here's Lou Brock to step in to lead off. He's been the big hero in the series, of course, for the Cardinals. He's been on base a lot, and when he's on base, he's running. The Tigers have not been able to contain this fellow as yet. McLean ready, and here's the first pitch of the ball game. It's outside. 1 ball, no strike. Brock, Flood, and Maris will be the batters in the first inning. There's a drive hit deep into right center field. This ball's hit a mile out there, and it is gone into the bleachers in deep right center field. Boy, Lou Brock hit that one a country mile. You don't see many of them, Kurt, hit into the bleachers in right center field here in Detroit.
And especially in the upper deck, he hit a tremendous shot in St. Louis. He now leads the series in base hits with 6, and that gives him 6 hits to 12 times up. He's only batting .500.
That's his 4th series home run. 2nd in this series. Flood hits it on the ground to second base. McAuliffe has it to first, and he's out. Kurt Flood hits the first pitch down to second, and Dick McAuliffe tosses him out. So there's 1 out in the first inning, and the batter will be Roger Maris. McLean is not throwing hard, not like he can. Here's a good shot from center field. The pitch is outside. 1 ball, no strike. Maris got his first series hit yesterday, a double down the left field line. There's a bouncer to first base. Cash is going to have to play it to McLean. He drops the ball. McLean had an easy play, and he dropped it.
Supposed to be the best on the Tigers, taking a throw, covering a bag, isn't he, George?
He is, Kurt. He's the best fielding pitcher probably the Tigers have, but that one just popped right out of his glove, and it'll be an error charged against the pitcher. So the Cardinals have a runner at first base with one out. This is Freehan talking to McLean. And the batter will be Cepeda. Orlando had a home run in yesterday's game, a 3-run blast to put the game out of reach. 1 ball, no strike. Here's Dennis checking the signs with Bill Freehan. Fastball is over. In case you joined us late, Lou Brock opened the ball game with a tremendous home run into the bleachers in right center field. Flood bounced out second to first. Maris was safe on an error by Dennis McLean. Cepeda, the batter. Inside, and it's ball 2 and strike 1. He fouls it back, and the count is even at 2-2. Denny took a little bit off the curveball on that when he caught Cepeda out in front, and he fouled it back. That's the pitch he would like for Cepeda to have hit. He had lost his power in his swing and wouldn't have been able to drive it very far. He struck him out. Sidearm fastball, and Cepeda strikes out. So that's out number 2 here in the first inning, and the batter will be the catcher, Tim McCarver. Tim's been to the plate 12 times in the series, and he's had 3 hits. One ball, no strike. The runner at first base, Roger Maris. 2 outs. Cardinals lead 1-0. We're in the first inning. There's a strike. McLean has picked up the tempo a little, sir. He's throwing harder right now.
A little quicker right now. Wonder how he can see the plate the way he tugs that cap down over his eyes.
There's a line drive, base hit. Willie Horton cuts it off. Maris will go to third on the single. McCarver holds on. A line drive base hit by Tim McCarver into left center. And the Cardinals are roughing McLean up a bit here in the first inning. This 4th game of the 1968 World Series is being brought to you live and in color from Tiger Stadium in Detroit, exclusively on NBC, where America watches more sports than on any other network. Mike Shannon is the batter. 2 on and 2 out. Cardinals lead by 1. Foul ball. It was a slow curve to Shannon. He got the key hit off McLean in St. Louis. Drove in the first run and set up 2 more when the Cardinals scored 3 off Denny. Got the fastball over. That's Denny McLean's strikeout pitch, the sidearm fastball. Normally he doesn't throw it until he gets 2 strikes on a batter, but struggling a bit here in the first inning. He went for it, sir.
That's the pitch that's helped him this year. He just started to use it this year, hasn't he, George?
First time. Helped him immensely. Here it is again. This is going to be trouble. McAuliffe's going to have Stanley. Throw, safe. Stanley cut in front of McAuliffe on that high-bounding ball, and he had no chance to get him. Shannon has good speed. He just outran it. So it'll be an infield single. Here it is in slow motion, Kurt.
Over the head of the pitcher, here comes Stanley. Got rid of the ball in a hurry, but as George Kell said, Shannon goes down the line very well for a big man and beat it out. And scoring is Maris. It's an unearned run. Maris had reached on an error by McLean. And so the Cardinals are off and running here with 2 runs in the top of the first.
Here's Hooley batting with runners at first and second. Hooley and Javier. 2 on, 2 out. Inside. He almost hit him. Javier had a 2-run single off McLean in St. Louis on opening day. Foul ball. That one hit Freehand right on the foot. Makes it a ball and a strike to Javier. The first run of this inning was certainly earned as Brock drilled it deep into the bleachers in right center, but the second run coming as a result of an error by Denny McLean. 1 ball, 1 strike to Julian Javier. Here's the pitch. Sidearm curve. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Two to nothing. The Cardinals lead. We're in the first inning. Dennis McLean trying to get him out. Very intense young man. He got him on a curve. Javier takes the curveball, and he's called out on strikes. The Cardinals get 2 runs in the inning on 3 hits, 1 error, 2 left, and the scores we go into the bottom of the first. St. Louis 2 with Detroit coming to bat.
Up Periscope. Up Periscope. Bearing 150.
Ship ahoy. You've got Dodge Fever. Man Mats Monaco. Design 69.
Take a long, slow look. Luxury line of comfort on a 122-inch wheelbase to give you a big car ride at a popular price. Under the hood, there's engine room for up to 440 cubic inches. New Superlight makes night driving super safe. Concealed windshield wipers keep the lines clean as a clipper ship. Inside, you're in command, in first-class comfort.
Dodge is turning up the fever now. Get your cure for new Dodge Fever now.
Dodge Fever at your Dodge dealer.
Well, here's Bob Gibson, and the fans here in Tiger Stadium will be getting their first chance to see this fellow in person. They watched him on television. Game number 1, but they've been anxiously awaiting their chance to see Bob Gibson. Dick McAuliffe steps in to lead off. He'll be followed by Stanley and then Kaline. Fastball is right in there. 1 strike. Gibson wasted no time as he pumped a good fastball across. Ground ball, first base. Cepeda will make the play unassisted. So McAuliffe goes out to the first baseman. That's 1 away. The batter will be Mickey Stanley. Nice round of applause for Mickey. The fans appreciate the move that Mickey made from center field into shortstop. It's been a tough move for him, but he's played well. There's a pop fly. Maybe in play. Cepeda is chasing it near the stands and makes the grab. Nice one-handed catch by Cepeda. You had to be a little careful. The ground is wet there, Kurt.
Right, and he was a thrill fella yesterday with that home run of his. First home run and 60 times up in the series. He was all smiles in the Cardinal dugout today.
Orlando Cepeda. Here's Al Kaline. Swings at a fastball. Well, that Gibson is pouring that fastball in around the knees. Al had a 2-run homer in yesterday's game. This is foul back and out of play. 2 strikes.
George Gibson hasn't struck anyone out yet, but he looks just as quick to me as he did in St. Louis.
As quick, he hasn't been throwing the curveball yet, Kurt, to set up the strikeout. Just as quick. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Almost got the high fastball by Kaline. Still a strike 2 count. Here's the curve, low and away. Gibson threw Kaline nothing but curveballs down in St. Louis, and this is the first one he's delivered to him today. Could be that he's saying, I'll throw him the fastball until I get in the jam and surprise him with the curve, maybe. Foul tip. It's another good curveball. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Kaline. We're in the first inning. In case you joined us late, the Cardinals picked up 2 in the top of this inning, and they lead the Tigers 2-0. Here's a drive hit deep into right center field. This one is well hit, and it is off the glove of Flood. Kaline goes to second with a double.
Kurt Flood, the top defensive center fielder in the National League, gives this one a tremendous stride. He was playing Kaline way over into left center. He got the tip of the glove on it, couldn't hold on to it. The play is being backed up by Roger Mara. And Al Kaline has wound up the second with a double. If Flood had caught that one, that would have been the catch of the series.
Didn't look like he had a chance, Kurt, and as you said, he almost made the play. Norman Cash, the batter. Oops, he swung at it. Norm tried to check his swing. Bill Kinnaman said he'd gone too far. This fellow's a big favorite here in Detroit. He has had a great last half and helped lead the Tigers to a pennant. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the pitch to Cash. Outside. Ball 2 and strike 1. Down low. 3-1. Kurt, I think Cash came up with the best line of the day in the clubhouse a moment ago. He says, what would be nice is play about 4 innings and rain it out and Gibson miss a turn.
Hasn't worked out that way.
No.
He's pitching Norm low and away right now, trying to keep it away from his power.
Took the slider. That was a hard slider breaking in on his fist. 3-2 to Cash. Kaline at second base, 2 outs. Cardinals lead 2-0. We're in the first inning. He struck him. Gibson reared up and threw the fastball by Cash. For the Tigers in the first, no runs on 1 hit. There were no errors, 1 left. And the score at the end of 1 inning of play, St. Louis 2, Detroit 0.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, feel confident. Stay dry with new Right Guard Antiperspirant, a completely new product from Right Guard. Right Guard Antiperspirant is a new defense against perspiration. It contains a tested agent that checks perspiration wetness. Feel confident. Stay dry. Get new Right Guard antiperspirant in the silver can.
Take razor in right hand. Right hand. Now press button A.
You'd think to change your old Techmatic razor into our new adjustable Techmatic might be a big deal. But all you do is take out your old cartridge and put in our new one. It not only has all the advantages of the old Techmatic, but it now adjusts for a closer shave. You also get one other little satisfaction. You did it all yourself.
Al Maxwell will lead off for the Cardinals here in the second inning. Here's success. We're at first base, coaching for the Cardinals. Joe Schultz over at third base. One strike to Maxwell. He'll be followed by Gibson and then Brock. 2-0, the Cardinals lead. We're in the top of the second. Denny McLain getting ready. Strike two. He's throwing a lot of sidearm fastballs today. The shot from center field is a wonderful shot. Watch the ball coming right in. There it is, strike three. He got the curveball over the outside corner, and Maxwell was called out on strike. That's one away in the second inning, and the batter will be Gibson. 3 strikeouts for Denny McLain. This Gibson's a good hitter. He's not to be taken lightly. 1 ball, no strike. Denny got it over, but it was a little bit low. High curveball, 1-1. In case you're wondering about the weather, you can, because it is getting darker again here at Tiger Stadium. It's awfully dark and overcast. No rain at the moment, but it's in the air. Slow curve. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Gibson hit a home run in the World Series last year in the 7th game of the World Series at Fenway Park in Boston. He's hit 12 home runs in his lifetime in the National League. There's a bouncing ball deep to short. Mickey Stanley, long throw. He got him. Don't see many shortstops with that sidearm throw, Kurt, but he guns it over there.
He does. He's got a good arm. Here's Brock now coming up. They talked about keeping him off the bases. He has now been on base 7 times in his last 8 times up.
His first time up in this ball game, he hit a tremendous home run into the bleachers in deep right center field. Curveball is low. 1 ball, no strikes. 2-0, the Cardinals lead. We're in the second inning. McLain against Gibson on a rainy afternoon in Detroit. Bouncing ball to second. Dick McAuliffe has it over to first in the inning. Well, McLain gets them out 1-2-3, nothing across for the Cardinals in the second, and the scores we go into the bottom of the second. St. Louis 2 and Detroit nothing.
Roadrunner from 1969. America's first low-price, high-performance car is back. And this year there's a convertible, a hardtop, as well as the original 2-door coupe. There's only one place to catch Roadrunner, at your Plymouth dealer. Go take a look and see what Plymouth's up to now.
We pause briefly for station identification. Here's Willie Horton to lead off for the Tigers in the second. Down low, and it skips by McCarver. 1 ball, no strike. Horton, Northrup, and Eddie Matthews will be the Tiger batters here in the second inning. Outside, it's ball 2 and no strike. It's beginning to rain again at Tiger Stadium. This looks like one of those days it can't miss. Dark clouds hovering low over the stadium. Gibson ready. Way up high, and it's 3-0. A ball 3 and a no-strike count to Willie Horton. Cardinals lead 2-0. We're in the bottom of the second inning. Outside, he walks it. So Willie Horton gets a walk. He's at first base with nobody out. And the batter will be Jim Northrup. Jim's only had 1 hit in this series. He has not been able to get off the ground as yet. Fly ball, left field. Should be an easy play for Lou Brock. He puts it away. So Northrup is out on the first pitch. That's 1 away, and the batter will be Eddie Matthews.
Oh, George, Eddie, you have to admire him for hanging in there after the back operation, but also the good break for a player who's been as good as he is to get traded to a team that gets in a pennant race, wins the pennant, and gives him another shot at the World Series.
You're right, Kurt. He almost got into one last year over here. Boy, he had a good cut at a fastball. Same thing happened to Maris. He came over here and got in 2 World Series the last 2 years he played. This is Wally Moses coaching over at first base. Tony Cuccinella at third base for the Tigers. Inside. 1 ball, 1 strike to Eddie Matthews. Here's Willie Horton at first base. He opened this inning with a walk. Northrup then flied to left field for the first out of the inning. Cardinals picked up 2 in the top of the first. They lead the Tigers 2-0. Foul ball. Matthews has had some good cuts at Gibson. Eddie Matthews will be 37 years old next Sunday. Here's a drive to right field. It's in for a base hit. Eddie Matthews drilled it hard to right. He hit a curveball and a good one. That's hit number 2 off Gibson. And the batter is Bill Freehan, who's looking for his first hit in this World Series. Strike. He got a fastball over. Two on with 1 out in the second, and the Cardinals lead 2-0. 2 strikes to Bill. He tried to check his swing. That one might have been out of the strike zone. Gibson perspiring freely. It's a rather warm day here in Detroit in contrast to yesterday. No, he checked it, they said. Freehan checked his swing, they said, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes.
All right, Gibson's unhappy with that call, and so is the Cardinal dugout. They're steaming.
a tough play, Kurt, for the umpire behind the plate. He gets help from the umpires on the bases, and nobody gave any help there. Here's the Cardinal dugout. They all came out. Only for a moment. The pitch. Down low, and it's 2-2. A ball 2 and a strike 2 count to Freehand. The Tigers have runners at second and first. 1 out. Cardinals lead 2-0. They have not scored off Gibson in this World Series. Way up high. 3-2 to Freehand. Here's Shandy's coming out. Red Shandy's, the manager of the Cardinals. Gibson has not been letter perfect, Kurt, in this game as he was in game number 1.
Oh, he struck out 2 in the first inning in St. Louis, struck out the side in the second, 2 more in the third. He was ahead of the hitters. He has delivered a lot more pitches in this game than he had to in the first inning and the third in St. Louis.
This is the key pitch of the ball game for him so far. 3-2 to Freehand. Here it is. He fouled it back. Still a full count to Bill. He's given up a walk and a single in this inning. In between, he got Northrop out on a fly ball. The 3-2 pitch. Another foul. Boy, Freehand is hanging in there tough, and Gibson is throwing hard. Believe me when I tell you he's throwing hard. Strike 3. He got the fastball over. Freehand is called out on strike. A big strikeout for Gibson. And it leaves it all up to Denny McLain. That's his second strikeout of the ball game. In St. Louis, Gibson struck out at least one batter in every inning. Denny McLain, the batter. He pops it foul and out of play. He's got 11 straight innings now with at least one strikeout in this World Series. Two on and 2 outs. We're in the second. The Cardinals lead by 2. Outside with a curve. 1 ball and 1 strike. Then he pops it foul. It's over near the Cardinal dugout. Cepeda is there, and he's got it. Almost ran in under it. No runs in the inning on 1 hit. There were no errors, 2 left, and the score at the end of 2. The Cardinals 2 and the Tigers nothing. Television rights granted by the Commissioner's Office solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any publication, reproduction, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Commissioner's Office is prohibited. Curt Flood, the leadoff man. He lines it to right field, a solid base hit for Curt Flood. He waited on the curveball and laced it to right. That's hit number 4 for the Cardinals. Roger Maris will be the batter. He was safe on an error and scored a run in the first inning. Flood will go, too. You can see him taking the big lead. Maris fouls it off to the left. He doesn't run as much as Brock, but he can run, and the Tigers know it. Gives you a good split view here. Cash holding against Flood. Maris at the plate. And the rain is coming down much harder right now at Tiger Stadium. Up high, 1 ball, 1 strike. Cardinals have out-hit the Tigers 4-2, and they've outscored them 2-0. It's the runner at first, Kurt Flood. There's a drive into center field. Northrup going back. He's there, makes the catch. Flood had gone all the way around the bag at second, and he had to hustle back as Northrup made a fine throw.
You know, Flood knew there was nobody out. He went around 2 steps around second and got back, but that's some pretty daring base running.
Kurt, I'm watching this rain come down right now, and it is raining hard as it's rained all day, and what a monumental decision this is going to be for somebody if they have to stop the game.
They're either going to have to play it in the rain, or this infield is going to get soaked here very quickly, and the conditions are going to get miserable.
Cepeda, the batter, he pops it up. Norman Cash going down the right field line after this one. Boy, he needs some windshield wipers on. Norman Cash makes the play on a foul fly off the bat of Cepeda. That's out number 2, and the batter will be McCarver. Well, if it was a nothing ball game or a tie game, it wouldn't be such a big decision. But with one team out in front and each game so all-important, of course, there comes a time when you just cannot play, too. The decision rests solely with the commissioner of baseball. And he's here, right in the front row. Here's a drive to left center. McCarver coming through with another hit. This one's going all the way to the fence. That'll get a run in. McCarver is headed for third, and he'll go in easily. That ball hit the wet grass, and it scooted by Northrup all the way to the fence in deep left center field, and Flood scored easily from first base. That's his second triple of this series.
Amazed that ball got through that gap that quickly after the rain. You'd think it would have died out there, but it scooted like it was on sun-baked ground.
Gives you some idea, Kurt, of how good a shape the ground is in out there so far. Here's Mike Shannon. He had an infield single in the first inning. He drove in a run. Here's a drive, fair ball down the third base line into the corner. Shannon is on his way to second, and he'll go in with a stand-up double. Boy, he hit that one like a bullet. A shot just inside the bag, and Mayo Smith is coming out of the dugout. McCarver scores, and the Cardinals lead 4-0 here in the third inning. Here's Mayo. He's got Joe Sparman in the bullpen.
They've tagged him hard. Flood has a line drive single to right. McCarver shot in the gap in left center. Shannon hitting the ball hard. 6 hits off McLean, and it looks like Mayo Smith will leave him in. It is raining harder now. It rained from 11 o'clock right up until we started this game. And this, I believe, George, is the hardest it has actually rained so far today, right now.
It is, Kurt, and it's much darker than it's been all day. Javier, the batter, and he takes it up high. 1 ball, no strike. Umbrellas are everywhere. Bleachers in center field covered with umbrellas. Outside, a ball 2 and a no-strike count to Javier. The Cardinals have a runner at second. Here are the umbrellas that I mentioned a moment ago, and they're very much in attendance today. The pitch to Javier. He swings at a curve. Ball 2 and strike 1. Cardinals got 2 in the first. They picked up 2 here in the third. They lead the Tigers 4-0. Outside, good stop by Freehand. Almost got by him. Makes it a ball 3 and a strike 1 count. And this is really a downpour now at Tiger Stadium. There seems to be no letting up. A 3-1 pitch. Outside, he missed with a curve, and Javier gets a walk. You'd have to believe that that was semi-intentional. And they're going to stop the ball game right now. The umpires, I believe they are. They're meeting in the center of the infield. And they're going to stop it right now.
Look at their Jack. Throw from his first baseman, Cash. Zepeda struck out. McCarver singled. Maris going to third, and Shannon's infield hit brought in Roger Maris to make it 2-0 Cardinals. McLean looked sharper in the second. He put the Cards down 1-2-3. But in the third, Kurt Flood singled to right. Maris flied out. Zepeda fouled out. McCarver tripled to left center, driving in a run, and Shannon double, driving in McCarver. The Tigers had 2 hits. Kaline double with 2 out in the first, and then a single after 1 out. Willie Horton had walked, but Bob Gibson then on a 3-2 pitch struck out Bill Freehan. And it looks like they're going to take the tarp off, and we're going to resume play here in Detroit. It'll take time to get this tarp off. There's a lot of water on it, and if you look out, you'll see the big puddles of water in the depressed areas. This water will have to be dumped off into the left field area. The ground crew will have to get their wheelbarrows and rakes and sand and patch up some of the sloppy spots. The infield had started to get in bad shape just before time was called, and if they had let time continue or the game continue, this infield might have been unplayable. It might be all right now. It's not going to be ideal conditions in any manner. The Cardinals, of course, with a 4-run lead and Gibson on the mound, it's all to their advantage. And they've been over there with their fingers crossed, hoping this rain stops and the game can continue. But it's going to be an hour layoff at least and more for Gibson. Sometimes this can affect the pitcher. He comes back and he's not the same man after warming up, getting himself ready to open a game, and firing 2 or 3 innings, and then having to sit in that clubhouse for an hour. Some of them come back and continue and keep their stuff. Others don't have it. Gibson, though, seems like a man apart about anything with his pitching style. McLean, of course, has been out an hour or 2. He was pitching in the top of the third. And we'll see whether Mayo Smith is going to leave him in the game. They had Joe Sparma warming up when the Cardinals started to get to McLean in the third. So far, the Cardinals have had 4 hot hitters in this series, including today. They've had Brock, who's batting .462. He's had 6 hits. Shannon has had 6 hits. He's hitting .429 in the series. Flood's hitting .385. He's had 5 hits, and McCarver's had 5 hits, with McCarver and Zepeda leading in RBIs. Al Kaline has had a good series for the Tigers so far. McAuliffe with a bat. There's Commissioner Eckert back in the dugout, along with one of his aides, Charlie Seagar. That is Bill Freehan. There's Charlie Creedon, the road secretary of the Tigers, gray-haired man with the glasses looking up in the stands. Freehan looking around. This is the umpiring crew. Kinnaman behind the plate today of the American League. Harvey is first of the National League. Heller of the American League is second. Gorman is third. Honeychick and Landis umpiring the lines. And now, that's Bill Kinnaman. You'll notice the American League umpires have a blue jacket and gray slacks. The National League umpires are all in blue. And now they're around home plate. Looks to be in fairly good shape there. The bad area now is going to be the left field area where all the water has been dumped. Well, let's get some baseball action in here right now while we're waiting. Let's go back to Game 3. Here's Lou Brock on first base. He's on second base. This is the first inning. And 3-2 pitch. Maris was called out on strike. Brock didn't slide. He could see he was going to be way out, so he just went in there standing up for a double play. That's the only time they've nailed Brock. But he actually was running on a 3-2 pitch. He wasn't going on his own in a steal, as the Cardinals had put a play on. They're bringing the tarp back now to spread it out again over the skin part of the infield, then they'll roll it up. The ground crew today has been... Here's Lou Brock now up at the bat again. This is a taped highlight of Game 3. Here's Brock's speed. He can beat you in so many ways. Stanley feeling that ball, and Brock with his speed beats it out. Now watch him go. Here's one of his 6 stolen bases so far in the series, averaging 2 a game. He hasn't stolen any today. There he goes. The throw is a fairly good throw. He's in there to beat it out. We're back live now as the tarp comes back. We're going to definitely resume play here in Game 4 of the World Series. Take a slow-motion study of Lou Brock. And we'll repeat again, if he had stolen as many bases during the season as his ratio here in the World Series, he'd have stolen over 300 bases during the campaign if he had played every game. There he is with the speed in under the peg. We're looking down to both bullpens. They're empty right now. It's going to be interesting to see who starts to warm up for the Tigers. Will it still be McLean?
No, sir.
What do you say, George? You've been down in the Tiger dugout.
Are you asking me, Kurt? It will not be McLean. It'll be Joe Sparma. Joe Sparma will be the new Tiger pitcher. That was the word from Mayo Smith when it first started ringing. When I first got there, and he said McLean would not resume, that his pitcher would be Sparma.
George Kell has been downstairs. You've seen him interviewing some of the players. He's back up with us now. Been calling the play-by-play in the opening part of this game. And George, I was speculating about a pitcher's layoff. Sometimes it affects a man, sometimes it doesn't. McLean is out now. But it's Gibson that you'll be wondering about. He'll have at least, the game is going to start in 10 minutes, they now inform us. He's going to have at least an hour and 15. The Cardinals are still at bat in the top of the third. He'll have at least an hour, 15, 20-minute layoff. And you never know how it's going to affect a fellow.
Kurt, this was the topic of conversation.
Driving rain coming down. We have something added now to the game. Some new white bags have been placed at third, second, and first. As the ground crew came out. And Fred Lasher, who appeared in 34 games with the Tigers this year, winning 5 and losing 1. Born in Poughkeepsie, New York, lives now in Janesville, Wisconsin. 27 years old. Del Maxwell, Bob Gibson, and Lou Brock will be up for the Cardinals. 6 runs, 9 hits, no errors for the Cardinals. 1 run, 4 hits, and 2 errors for the Tigers. He's a sidearm pitcher. Sometimes even drops down a little bit below sidearm. Strike 1 to Maxwell. Maxwell has struck out and grounded out. This is going to be Mudsville, the last part of this game, the way this rain's coming down.
The infield is in bad shape, Kurt, and it's going to get worse, but there's nothing you can do about it. They've made a great effort to play it, and it's going to be played.
Right, 0-2. We told you earlier during the delays, we checked back through the books and never found a game that had been started, a World Series game, that had not become an official game, and the record is kept intact. The 2-strike pitch. A ball, 1 and 2 to Del Maxwell. Crowd's sort of in an angry mood here right now. They're disappointed. They're all that ball too. They said he wet his fingers. We had that call on Earl Wilson. There's strike 3. The rule again, if you put your hand or your fingers up in the area of your mouth, it's an automatic ball. 1 out. Bob Gibson coming up. Gibson is grounded out and hit a home run. Gives a scattered round of applause. Top of the 6th inning. Nubler will have to hurry on this one. The throw by Lasher is in time. Gibson is out. Difficult fielding play for a pitcher to come off that slippery mound, wet grass, pick up a wet ball.
It's a tough play, Kurt. In playing third base over the years, I found this to be true. Any time that it was raining or even a light dew or anything, made it extremely difficult to come in and pick up the bunts and make the play.
Now here's that man again, Lou Brock. Hit a tremendous homer in the right center field bleachers, upper deck in the first, grounded out in the second, and then tripled in the fourth. He's now been on base 8 times in his last 10 times up in the series. Ground ball rammed hard to Mickey Stanley. And the Cards are out 1-2-3 in the 6th inning. At the end of 5 1/2, the score, the Cardinals 6 and the Tigers 1.
Look what Plymouth's up to now. Just look what Plymouth's up to now. Driving will never be the same again for you.
Introducing the 1969 Plymouths. Fury, a whole new car. Longer, wider, completely redesigned from rubber to roofline. Belvedere, our mid-size success car. 26 models, 18 colors, 76 interiors. Valiant, the compact that didn't get bigger, just better. Barracuda, 4 great engines, 3 great bodies, and torsion bar suspension for true sports car handling. See what Plymouth's up to now at your Plymouth dealers.
Just look what Plymouth's up to now.
They have doctored the home plate area again, are now moving to the mound to throw some fresh sand on it. In the last of the 6th inning, the Tigers will send up Kaline, Cash, and Horton. You know, only 6 managers in the 65-year history of the World Series have appeared in as many as 6 series. All except Walter Alston, who is still active, are in the Cooperstown Hall of Fame. Leading the roster is Casey Stengel with 10 series appearances, followed by John McGraw and Joe McCarthy with 9. Connie Mack got into 8 series, Miller Huggins into 6, as did Walter Alston, now and still the manager, who's had that insecure job with the Dodgers of a 1-year contract, 16 in a row. George, I wish you and I could get an insecure job like that, 16 years in a row.
What he really got, Kurt, was a 16-year contract, 1 year at a time, I think. It might be a 20-year contract. He's still going.
He's done a good job with those Dodgers. Kaline having an all-around excellent series. He waited 16 years to play in one. He's now had 6 hits in this series and 15 times up. Today he's doubled and singled. Made a good fielding play in St. Louis on the foul ball by Cepeda. An outstanding throw today with Brock on third, 1 out. Brock didn't go. Brock held, but it was a good throw. Bob Gibson, there's his World Series record. 2 wins against the Yankees in '64. 3 against the Red Sox in '67. Opening game win this year, and he's ahead right now 6-1. Eight strikeouts so far. Foul back, 1-1 to Kaline. Doing 1. In the opening game against Gibson, Kaline had a double in 4 times. So he's now had 3 hits off Gibson and 7 times up. And the most effective Tiger against him. The 2-1 pitch to Kaline. Going after the low inside. Sinking fastball. 2-2. Nobody on, nobody out. Quite a sight, that breath in the air, the rain coming down, the pack stands in the background. Line drive to Maxwell. A-line hit it hard again, but right at somebody. One away. Norm Cash has struck out and fouled out. Ball to him. Carver's going to straighten out with his pitcher. One-0 pitch. Popped up. Mike Shannon calling for this one at third. 2 down. Willie Horton has walked and struck out. Cardinals 6. The Tigers 1. Last of the 6th inning. A strike. Willie will chase that ball in the dirt now and then. Tomorrow it is supposed to be a much nicer day. Clearing skies, warm, around 65 degrees. Lolich, the left-hander for the Tigers. Briles, the right-hander for the Cardinals. A ball, 1-1. We'll be on at 12:30 with World Series report, Eastern Time on NBC television, followed by the 5th game. A 1-1 pitch. Blew the fastball by him, 1-2. Gibson has struck out at least one batter in every inning of the first game and this game. Hasn't struck out anyone so far in this inning. 2 down, nobody on. 1-2. That foul's headed back toward the seats. And they have to even pound the mud out of a catcher's mask. That's something. Two down, nobody on. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Willie Horton. 2-2 to him. If a smile was your umbrella today, you were in trouble. The 2-2 pitch, there's strike 3, 9 strikeouts for Gibson. He has struck out now at least one man in every inning of the series that he's pitched in. 3 up and 3 down at the end of 6. It's the Cardinals 6 and the Tigers 1.
This was Canada, 1867. The Bank of Commerce began that year. Canada grew, and Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce kept pace. A reliable, progressive bank. Its thoughts are still on the future. Already, space-age computers serve some branches to give customers fast electronic service. Eventually, they will link all commerce branches coast to coast. Also for the near future, commerce cash dispensers. Conveniently located so that you can get instant cash day or night.
Bank of Commerce, Bank of Commerce, Bank of Commerce, Bank of Commerce.
One of the world's great banks.
This 4th game of the 1968 World Series being brought to you live and in color from Tiger Stadium on NBC, where America watches more sports than on any other network. Remember, at the conclusion of today's World Series baseball game, NBC will switch to Oakland, California for the American Football League game between the Boston Patriots and Oakland Raiders, which will be in progress. And we'll have other games on, too, around the country, regional telecasts. Flood is grounded out single and fly to right. Kurt Flood facing Fred Lasher, a strike. Telling a 1. Miami's at Houston today and Cincinnati at Denver in the American Football League. One ball, one strike. Roger Maris on deck and Orlando Cepeda. This is the 7th inning. Maris. He pops it up. Mickey Stanley squeezes it for out number 1 in the top of the 7th. Roger Maris has reached in an error by Denny McLain, has flied out, grounded out. He's knocked in a run with his infield bounder in the 4th, has scored Lou Brock from 3rd. A strike to him. McLain started 2 2/3 innings, giving up 6 hits, 4 runs. And after the long delay, he didn't come back out. Sparma then took over the ball. Sparma pitched a 1/3 of an inning, 2 hits. He was charged with 2 runs. Darrell Patterson pitched 2 innings, and now Fred Lasher's on his 2nd inning. Cardinals have 1 away, nobody on in the 7th. A high pop in the shallow center. Going out to McAuliffe, coming on is Northrup. Dick McAuliffe, the second baseman, has it. Out number 2. Orlando Cepeda will be the next batter for the Cardinals. He has struck out, fouled out, and walked. I understand this World Series is being carried by satellite, live. Many of Cepeda's countrymen, friends, and family are watching in Puerto Rico. The strike also in Mexico and Canada, around the world. Boy, how time flies. A few years ago, it would go to the Mississippi River. 1 ball, 1 strike. Two down, the Cardinals leading 6-1. They're batting in the 7th. Base hit for Cepeda in the left field, Willie Horton. Back into the infield. The Cardinals now have 10 hits. They had 13 hits yesterday, 23 hits in these 2 games. Tim McCarver singled. Then he tripled in the 3rd to drive in a run and was flied out. He and Cepeda each have knocked in 4 runs to lead the Cardinals in the RBI department. All 1 to him. Played it first, 2 down. Fastball away, 2-0. Cepeda bluffed the dash that time, but he wasn't going anywhere. Cash playing off the bag against him. Two and 1 to Tim McCarver. High fly in the shallow center. McAuliffe scooting out. Coming on is Northrup. Northrup calls for it, makes the catch for the 3rd out. No runs for the Cardinals in the 7th. 1 hit. There were no errors. 1 left. 6.5 gone. The Cardinals 6. The Tigers 1.
A truck is a truck. Right? Wrong. 69 Dodge and Fargo trucks are sport trucks. Here, take a look. New cushion beam suspension. Chrysler took the elastic off the bankroll to completely re-engineer the suspension and steering on Dodge and Fargo pickup trucks. A sway bar was added, springs redesigned, liners added, and a lot more to make 69 Dodge and Fargo trucks the sweetest handling pickups on the road under any load, bar none. Bumps flatten, potholes smooth out, rides like a limousine. And that's not all. Handsome new long-line styling and comfortable luxury interiors prove you don't have to be ugly to be tough. Dodge and Fargo with cushion beam suspension. Sport Truck 69. See your Chrysler dealer for Sport Truck 69.
It's the 7th inning stretch in Tiger Stadium. A wet and cold crowd on their feet. There's our camera on top of the stadium looking down. Bob Gibson warming up to face Northrup, Matthews, and Freehand. Gibson so far has allowed 4 hits, 1 run, a home run by Northrup in the 4th, has struck out 9. He now has 26 strikeouts in this World Series, 17 in the opener and 9 today. Northrup, a fly ball to left field, retired him in the 2nd, and he's home run in the 4th. Bounding ball to Cepeda. Easy play for him, 1 away. And since Northrup hit that home run in the 4th inning, 1, 2, 5, 8, 9 in a row have gone down before Bob Gibson. And only 1 ball has been hit out of the infield since then. Trials against Lolich tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern Time on NBC. Eddie Matthews takes ball 1. Matthews is single to right and grounded out. 1 out of 2. Two and nothing. These two faced each other plenty of times in the National League. He's with the Braves. Outside, ball 3. You know, George, we get a lot of wires and letters during the series. It's good and bad, but the one I got a kick out of today was from a Hall of Fame baseball broadcaster, Red Barber. Sent his best regards to all of us.
He's a great guy. Been on many of these.
3-0 pitch is ball 4. Matthews is on. Red lives now in Key Biscayne, Florida. One of the greatest sports announcers and baseball broadcasters in the history of our business. Always will be.
Wonder how many World Series broadcasts and telecasts he's appeared on.
Oh,
many, many. Great job by the old redhead.
Right. Al Allen, another Hall of Famer. Bill Freehand up and struck out twice. He's looking for his first hit of the series. A strike to him. We're getting some warm-up action now in the Tiger bullpen. Hiller, a left-hander, warming up. Gibson fires a fastball by him. Hiller warming up. Lasher, the pitcher's due up next. The Tigers are trailing 6-1 in the last of the 7th. Strike. 0-2. 0-3. That's the 3rd strike on him. He's out of there. 3 times Freehand has struck out. We're watching the dugout then, and Matchik now is coming out. Tom Matchik. He's been up twice as a pinch hitter. No hits so far in this series. 2 down. Eddie Matthews at first. 10 strikeouts for Gibson. At least 1 every inning in the opening game and game 4. Ball 1. Gibson is the only pitcher in World Series history to pitch 5 games with 10 or more strikeouts. Sandy Koufax, the only other pitcher with 3 10-strikeout games. Gibson now has 5 10-strikeout games. A 1-1 pitch. Fly ball out in the left center. Curt Flood has it, and the Tigers are out in the 7th. No runs, no hits, there were no errors, and 1 left. At the end of 7, it's the Cardinals 6 and the Tigers 1.
Take razor in right hand. Right hand. Now press button A.
You'd think to change your old Techmatic razor into our new adjustable Techmatic might be a big deal. But all you do is take out your old cartridge and put in our new one. It not only has all the advantages of the old Techmatic, but it now adjusts for a closer shave. You also get one other little satisfaction. You did it all yourself.
We pause now for station identification. This is the CBC Television Network.
John Hiller, 25-year-old left-hander who won 9 and lost 6 for the Tigers this year with an earned run average of 2.39. He was born in Scarborough, Ontario. And here he is pitching to Shannon. Bounding ball, it's fair and back of the bag. Eddie Matthews, low throw. Cash can't handle it. So Shannon's on. Be an error charged on the throw. Error on Eddie Matthews. That's the 3rd Tiger error. Javier has struck out, walked, and singled. Hiller lives now in Duluth, Minnesota. Tigers 6, or Cardinals 6, Tigers 1. Fastball for a strike, 0-1 to Javier. Tigers now have made 7 errors in the series, the 1 for the Cardinals. Today, the Cardinals have had 10 hits and the Tigers 4. There's a drive down the left field line. That's a fair ball, rattling around in the corner. Willie Horton's up with it. Shannon's in the 3rd. And Javier's in the 2nd. Looks like that one plunked right on the line. A double for Javier. Runners on 2nd and 3rd, nobody out. The 11th hit for St. Louis. Al Maxwell has struck out, grounded out, and struck out. And the Tigers cannot afford to give up any more runs when they bring that infield in. Maxwell takes the curve inside for a ball. Bob Gibson has come out on deck. He's due up next. Ball 2. Javier, like Brock, seems to thrive under World Series pressure. He now has a .385 lifetime World Series average. Shannon at 3rd. Javier at 2nd. Nobody out. 8th inning. 6-1. St. Louis. Curve for a strike. 2-1. Dobson is warming up in the Tiger bullpen. Three and 1 count to Dal Maxwell. That's Dobson. Now the bases are loaded with nobody out. Shannon's at 3rd. Javier's at second, Maxville's at first, and the pitcher, Bob Gibson, who grounded out, hit a home run in the left field seats in the fourth, and rolled out in the sixth. Bob Gibson getting a hand, as he should, for his brilliant performances in World Series competition and, of course, during the season. He's got that infield halfway at short and second. Last ball for a strike to Gibson. As George mentioned earlier, Gibson's a threat at the bat. He can run the bases. He can field. He's an all-around athlete. He was a basketball star at Creighton University. Strike two, 0-2. Shannon, the lead runner. Javier's at second. Maxville at first. No outs. A two-strike pitch. Gibson reaching and fouling it back. 0-2. A bit high and away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. It has suddenly quit raining. And the mist is blown away. Here's the 1-2 pitch. 2-2. John Hiller. Bases are loaded. Nobody out. The 2-2 pitch to Bob Gibson. Fouls it back. Count goes to 3-2. Mike Shannon at third. Javier at second. Maxville at first. Nobody out. The Cardinals already ahead 6-1. Top of the 8th inning. Here's a 3-2 pitch. He walked him to force in a run. So Gibson has his second run batted into the game. Lou Brock. Well, this is one time that the traffic lanes will be blocked. The bases are loaded. Brock hit a home run in the first, grounded out in the second, tripled in the fourth, and grounded out in the sixth. And he has the most hits right now of anyone in this series. The infield in on him. Cardinals leading 7-1. A ball. McLean, Sparma, Patterson, Lasher, and Hiller. 5 Tiger pitchers today. Eddie Matthews trying to settle Hiller down. A 1-0 pitch to Lou Brock. Curve is outside to him, ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. smash into deep center. Northrup watches the ball sail over his head. This may clean the bases. 2 runs are in. Here's Gibson scoring. And Brock was all the way to third and goes back to second. Brock got into third. Thought he was going to get into a jam with Gibson. Was rounded third and held up just a bit. Brock was so fast he got back to second. He cleaned the bases. He's now had a homer and 2 triples in this game. It's a double now. He got to third and went back. Let's get the double. He had actually reached third. He had an easy triple. But he thought there was going to be a mess up on the bases, so he went back to second. And that's all for John Hiller. And there's a break in the action here. As the score now is the St. Louis Cardinals 10 and the Detroit Tigers 1.
Just look what Plymouth's up to now.
The all-new Plymouth Fury for 1969. So big, so beautiful, so fresh in design, it's hard to believe this is a popular priced car. Fury has more comfort, more roominess, more luxury. And behind the wheel, more excitement.
Just look what Plymouth's up to now.
The 1969 Plymouth Valiant, built to Chrysler standards of 6-passenger roominess and comfort. The Honest Compact. Fury, Valiant, Barracuda, and Belvedere at your Plymouth dealers.
Pat Dobson, who's won 5 and lost 8, now comes in. The Cardinals have scored 4 runs here in the 8th. Lou Brock's at second. He has just cleaned the bases with that drive over the head of Jim Northrup in center field. He had reached third. Gibson had been held up, but when Gibson saw the throw coming in late, he came on into the plate. When Brock saw Gibson holding up, then Brock decided he better get back to second. So instead of a triple, he winds up with a double. He's now had a homer, triple, and double today, and he's knocked in 4 runs as he continues his sensational World Series play. Batter's Kurt Flood, who's grounded out, single, flied out, and popped up. 1 out of 4. 10-1. St. Louis. There he goes. The throw is not in time, and he has just tied his own World Series record. That's his 7th stolen base. He has tied his own World Series record for most stolen bases set in 7 games last year. Look at this form. He runs like a whippet. Here he is. Look at those long strides. Burning speed. There's his slide. So he's tied the record. He's also tied the late Eddie Collins record of 14 World Series stolen bases. He's done that in 2 series, 7 last year and 7 this year. Ball 1. As impressive as he was against the Red Sox last year, he's been even better this year. He's stolen 7 bases in 4 games, and he's hitting with tremendous power in this series. 2 homers, a triple, a double. He's got 8 hits. Bounding ball to third. It's a fair ball, is it? Foul ball, they say now. Foul ball. Here's Mayo Smith coming out again. Bill Freehand's going down to argue. That's Tom Gorman at third. The home plate umpire, I believe, is calling it a fair ball. Tough call for Gorman. The runner was on there. Brock getting back. Matthews is trying to field the ball right by the bag. They're all gathered together. and they're explaining to Flood, you're out. So Flood rounds out third to first. Brock is still on third. Roger Maris up. No hits in 4 times. Cardinals 10, the Tigers 1. The 8th inning. Ball 1. All Brock would have to do now is to steal home and be the crowning blow, George.
Well, the Tigers are not too happy, I don't think, about the way Brock has been running with such a big lead, and that might be the crowning blow, is right.
1 ball, no strikes. And a stab by Dick McCollum. McCollum stabbing a hot smash off the bat of Maris. 2 down. McCollum played an excellent World Series. Very steady in the field, and he chipped in with 5 hits.
You know, Kurt, Denny McClain's almost a cinch to be the most valuable player in our league, and maybe Bill Freehan second, but you can make a real case for Dick McCollum. He contributed a whole lot to this pennant, and he could very well be the most valuable player without any argument.
Orlando Cepeda now. 1 hit in 3 times. Brock still on third. Inside to him for a ball. Cardinals have scored 4 times in the 8th. They're leading 10-1. These 4 runs, of course, are charged to Hiller. 1 ball, no strikes. Cepeda going after the curve, fouls it back. 1-1. Lou Brock at third. Tied 2 records with that steal of third. Tied his own and tied the late Eddie Collins record. One ball, 1 strike. One and 2 to Cepeda. He's the 8th batter up this inning for the Cardinals. Tigers have more action in their bullpen. Warden is warming up. John Warden. Two and 2. The Cardinal bullpen has been as quiet as Sleepy Hollow today. Gibson out in front with a big lead now. There he is, John Warden. 2 and 2. There are 2 down. Lou Brock's on third. Three and 2. Full count. Brock at third. 2 away. Ground ball. Cash down on one knee for it. Will have to throw to the pitcher covering. That retires the side. But the Cardinals came up with 4 big runs. 2 hits. There was 1 error and 1 left. At the end of 7 1/2, it's St. Louis 10 and Detroit 1.
Jeremy I. Parsons got a red convertible loan from the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce and bought a blue fastback with buckets. You look great in blue, Jerry.
On the other hand, Wilfred S. Hughes got a Commerce Red convertible loan and bought a beige sedan.
After you pick me up at the hairdresser's, you could... Wilfred, watch out for that truck. Wilfred, it says no left turn. Take me down to Mary Jane's.
Well, sure beats walking, eh, Willie? Meanwhile, Miss Charis D. Holmes got a Commerce Red convertible loan and bought a pickup truck. How do you like them apples, eh, Charis? Wouldn't you like a Commerce Red convertible loan? You might even get a red convertible. Whatever you want, from cars to cameras, boats to broadloom. Get it with a bank plan loan from the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. You'll find it easy to arrange. Just talk to the man at the Commerce.
The last of the 8th inning. The Tigers are trailing 10-1 as they send up the top of their batting order Dick McAuliffe, Mickey Stanley, and Al Kaline. McAuliffe has grounded out and struck out twice. Bob Gibson has allowed 4 hits. He has struck out 10. There's a ground ball to the right side. Javier up with it, over to Cepeda, and they have 1 out. Mickey Stanley's fouled out, struck out, and flied out. Gibson has walked 2 today. He hangs on to this lead. Ball 1. He will set a World Series record, the first pitcher to ever win 7 consecutive World Series games. 2 in 64, 3 last year, and if he holds here, it'll be 2 this season. Ball 2, 2-0. The 2-0 pitch to Stanley is a strike, 2-1. Right now he shares a record with Lefty Gomez and Red Ruffin of 6 World Series victories in a row. There's a drive into left center. Going over for it is Lou Brock, 2 down. Al Kaline has doubled, singled, and lined out. Al dogged with injuries again. He's been a hard-luck player in his career with the Tigers. He missed a month with a broken arm this year. The strike, he had a foot operation a couple of years ago. A ball, and his average was down 260, 270, but he finished strong and wound up leading the Tigers in batting at the end of the year. A 1-1 pitch. There's a ground ball to Del Maxville. Makes his throw. Gets him out quickly in the 8th. At the end of 8 innings, it's the St. Louis Cardinals 10 and the Detroit Tigers 1.
For 1969, America's first low-priced, high-performance car is back. And this year there's a convertible, a hardtop, as well as the original 2-door coupe. There's only one place to catch Roadrunner, at your Plymouth dealer. Go take a look and see what Plymouth's up to now.
In the top of the 9th inning, Tim McCarver Mike Shannon and Julian Javier will be up. In the top of the ninth inning, Tim McCarver, Mike Shannon, and Julian Javier will be up. 10 runs, 12 hits, no errors. For St. Louis, 1 run, 4 hits, 3 errors. The game was 35 minutes late in starting, and it was delayed an hour and 15 minutes in the third inning because of rain. Darrell Patterson's first pitch is outside. Until the Cardinals got those 4 runs in the 8th inning, just about everybody stayed in this ballpark. Now we've got quite a few empty seats, especially out in the exposed areas. The 1-0 pitch. Liner sinking quickly in the left center for a base hit. And here goes McCarver on the second. Willie Horton picked up the ball. That's the third hit for McCarver. An error. On Northrop. A single for McCarver. And the Tigers have made 4 errors today. McCarver at second. Nobody out and Shannon out. 2 hits and 4 times. Cardinals had 13 hits yesterday, 13 hits again today. Broken bat grounder to short. Mickey Stanley into the dirt. Cash. They've been making low throws over him today, and he's done a good job coming up with them. McCarver stayed at second, 1 out. Javier struck out, walked, singled, and doubled. Alan Roth's been our statistician on the World Series, as he has been during the season on NBC's Major League Baseball game every Saturday. Our production manager, returning to his hometown, nearby Old Corktown here in Detroit, Jim O'Gorman. Ball 1 to Javier. Nelson Briles against Mickey Lolich. Matched up again as they were in Game 2 in St. Louis. They'll be going tomorrow. The weatherman says it's a better day tomorrow. Clear weather. Temperature should be about 65. Ball. How do they kid the weathermen? Their predictions are 90% true, 10% of the time. 2 balls and no strike. They were right today. They called it right on the nose, all the weathermen. Said it'll be raining all day, it didn't happen. 2-0. Runner on second, 1 out. High fly in the left center. Jim Northrop waiting for it. So that's 2 down. And brings up Del Maxfield, who was struck out, grounded out, struck out, and walked. Into shallow center. Northrop wasn't playing too deep. Came on to grab it, retiring the side. In the 9th inning, the Cardinals had no runs, 1 hit. There was 1 error, 1 left. At the end of 8 1/2, the Cardinals 10 and the Tigers 1.
If If you've been looking for a lime shaving cream that's not too sweet, Gillette Foamy has what you've been looking for. Because Gillette Foamy has this, the lemon lime. It's part lemon, part lime. The essence of the lemon keeps the tang in the lime. And that keeps this shaving cream from smelling too sweet. Gillette Foamy with lemon lime. Wait till your face gets a taste of it.
Introducing the sporty new 1969 Gillette Techmatic Razor. The fabulous razor band and the dramatically light touch are still standard equipment. But this year's model has one bold new feature. A little dial you can adjust to give yourself a closer shave. We call it the adjustable Gillette Techmatic.
The last call for the Tigers in the last of the ninth inning, with Cash, Horton, and Northrup scheduled up. Bob Gibson has walked 2 today, has struck out 10. The only inning he hasn't struck out a batter, at least one batter in the series, came in the 8th inning. Norman Cash has struck out, fouled out, and popped up. It is really dark here. The lights have been on the entire game. Lights out up here, the umpire signal. There we go. We had some lights on inadvertently, switched on in the booth, and they signaled us to turn them on. Ball went quite a glare, and if somebody had looked up with a fly ball or a pop-up this way, it might have bothered them. Glad to oblige. The 1-0 pitch, foul up. Lace of the single in the right field. Cash on first to lead off the last of the ninth. Willie Horton up, walked and struck out twice. That is the first Tiger hit since Northrup homered with 1 out in the 4th. Stop by McCarver, and that fastball in the dirt. One ball, no strikes to Willie Horton. The Cardinals have a 9-run lead in the last of the 9th inning. They're ahead 10-1. Foul against the chest protector of the umpire. 1-1. The rain is completely stopped. One and one. The slider's low and away. 2-1. And for the first time, warm-up action in the Cardinal bullpen. Ron Willis. He lofts a high fly in the left center. Brock's coming hard. Flood's there to make the grab. Brock went right by him, and Flood took it. Larry Jaster's a left-hander warming up. Jim Northrup was fly to left, hit a home run. The only run scored off Gibson today, and he's grounded out. One strike to Jim Northrup. 1 out. Norman Cash at first base. Cardinals 10, Tigers 1. Bounding ball hit down to Cepeda. Steps on first, throws to second. Here's a double play that ends the ball game. They had the force off and had to make the tag at second. Bob Gibson being congratulated as he wins another big one for the Cardinals. Breaks the all-time World Series record by winning his 7th World Series game in a row. Breaking the record he shared with Lefty Gomez and Red Ruffing. So that last of the 9th inning, it's no runs, 1 hit, or no errors, and nobody left. 10 runs, 13 hits, no errors for the Cardinals. 1 run, 5 hits, and 4 errors for the Tigers. And so, George Kell, the Cardinals now go 2 games up. They lead 3 games to 1. If there's any solace for the Tiger fans, though, last year the Cardinals went ahead in the same pattern of the Red Sox, and the Red Sox came back to send the series into the 7th game, but the Tigers, of course, now have quite a job in front of them.
Well, the Tigers have their back to the wall, Kurt. I don't think there's any doubt about that. They got another dose today of what they got yesterday. Lusty hitting by the Cardinals, and they ran into that man, Bob Gibson, who was just about as tough as he was on opening day. Not quiet, but it's going to be tough. They're going to come back tomorrow with Mickey Lolich against Bryles and just hope for the best. And Mickey's been the only one that can win for him so far.
And Lou Brock tied 2 series records today. 7 steals in a series, tying his record he set last year in 7 games, and his 14th stolen base in a World Series competition, tying the late Eddie Collins record. And Brock has a chance to break that one tomorrow. So on behalf of George Kell here, this is Kurt Gowdy saying goodbye also for Tony Kubek. Final score, Cardinals win it 10-1. This game is authorized under television rights granted by the Commissioner's Office solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any publication, reproduction, or the use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Commissioner's Office is prohibited. So the Cardinals have taken the lead in the 1968 World Series. 3 games to 1 now. Don't forget to join Jim Simpson and Sandy Koufax again tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern Time for a World Series report, to be followed by Game 5 of the World Series.